All right, perfect. All right, so today we're going to talk about NFTs, DAOs, and social impact. So first of all, what are NFTs? Well, as you know, NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. And yeah, basically there's a quote that I found really interesting from Jesse Walden that he says, NFTs make it possible to own digital media assets in the same way that you own a digital currency asset like Bitcoin. And for all of you that don't know what is that non-fungible, basically it means that it's unique. A fungible, it means that you can have different variations, and basically it's just it doesn't matter. Like if you have $1 bill or another dollar bill, it's the same thing. Like you can just swap it and use it as you want. With non-fungibles, basically you cannot swap it. And the crazy thing is that most of the humans don't know that most of the things that are around us are non-fungible. Like us, humans. Like we are unique. We have a DNA that is unique. If you cut me in half, that's not Manu anymore. So yeah, and the crazy thing is that humans, we actually were the ones that created the fungibility. Why did we create fungibility? As a way of measuring, well, it was supposed to be like money was created as a way of rewarding if you were doing something good for your society, but in reality, that's not what we have. So yeah, here's a couple of examples. So fungible could be, currencies. There's also some cases that are semi-fungible, like for example, tickets for events. Like you can, swap it, and it can be used as the same thing. And then the non-fungible, as I said, like humans are non-fungible, art is non-fungible, music, and a couple of other things more. Okay, so in the Ethereum world, and also other type of chains are also trying to create standards. So as you know, in the internet, we have a couple of standards, like for content, like HTML and so on. And then for blockchain and for NFTs, we have the ERC 721, the ERC, oh, there's a mistake here, 1155, and so on. So what are the key benefits of NFTs? Well, they're supposed to be secure and transparent. Why? Because there's a digital representation on chain, and then we have the authenticity that you can confirm. You can confirm that the person that created is actually connected somehow to the collector. One of the things that people don't realize is that NFTs, they have kind of like a social layer. Why? Is because, for example, I don't know, I'm sure that you guys seen that CryptoPunk owners, they have a chat group and they're coming together. And how do they verify the authenticity? Well, because you can verify the provenance of the NFT. You can know where it comes from, where it was minted, and so on. Also, there are a couple of other things that you can create games around the NFT. And also, another thing is that you can embed lifetime royalties. However, not all NFTs have lifetime royalties. Some of them, like when you have them in one specific platform, they might have the royalties, but then when you migrate them to another platform, they might lose that royalties. So right now, like, why is that? Is because basically there's no standards yet for that. So we need to work on that. We need to create standards that enable us to bring NFTs from one place to another, and that actually they're bringing all the benefits with them. So what are the different type of use cases? For me, NFTs are like the new cookies of the new internet, let's say of the Web3. So when you interact with a smart contract, you might get an NFT. When you interact with Bill, you might get an NFT. When you go to an event, you might get an NFT. Like here, you can get one, the POAP, the POAP, the Proof of Attendance Protocol, and essentially, it's kind of like a way for all of us to show that we interacted with something. And also, when you're collecting or when you're buying art, that's exactly what you're doing. You're interacting with the creator in a way or another. So it can be used, for tokenizing art, for tokenizing music, right now everyone thinks that NFTs are only for art, but in reality NFTs can be used for so many other different things. Like you can tokenize, let's say, experiences. And you might be asking, okay, how do you tokenize experiences? Well, it's not that the experience is tokenized itself, it's that the NFT can enable you to access a specific experience. An example could be, for example, if you buy an NFT from a creator, the creator might have unlockable content inside the NFT that could enable you to have access to their phone number. So, for example, or the let's say a Zoom link where you can interact directly with them. Oops, sorry for that. Then there's also like, obviously like the digital ones, so it's like what everyone is trying to do right now, but also they can have physical elements. For example, like let's say if you have an NFT that gives you access to claim something. There's a really nice use case with robots. I don't know if you guys know it, the Meta Factory. They're actually, people buy these NFTs and then they can come and redeem the NFT for a digital cloth, or not digital cloth, like real world cloth. And at the same time, it has a digital representation in multiple metaverses as well, which is super dope. Then we have, as I said before, it can be used as a ticket for an event. It could be also used as a ticket for a virtual world, or itself, the NFT can be a virtual world, or it can be a virtual land, or any type of, let's say, virtual assets. Also, NFTs can be used as a reward and also for gamification. Why as a reward? Because imagine that you do something good, or imagine that you got your diploma. It can have this digital representation with an NFT. So essentially, what I think NFTs are going to be a piece of your identity. Why? Because remember when you were kids, like you were buying, your parents were giving you a lot of stuff, let's say, or maybe you collected some VHS or some movies that you really like, and you didn't want like anyone to take those movies away from you because you were super connected with those memories. And this is happening right now in the digital world. We're also being connected with the different media that we're interacting. Like memes, and that's why I personally believe that NFTs are going to be part of the identity that we have. Why? As I said before, it can be used as a proof of attendance to something, proof of reward of something, but also as a way for you collecting memories that you like. Also, NFTs are being used lately for token-gated communities, and also for gated content. So if you have a specific NFT, you can unlock a page, or you can unlock, let's say, a Zoom link, as I said before, and basically interact directly with the creator. And then the certificates of authenticity as well. Well, I'm pretty sure that you guys know there was one NFT that was sold for over $69 million, and a couple of other more. And basically, this is just the very beginning, I think. One of the crazy things that I've seen the last 2-3 months after let's say the bubble exploded a little bit, is that most of the NFTs that have social impact ingrained into them are the ones that are selling for the highest price, which is kind of weird. So I don't know if you saw the Carbon Drop that was together with people and a couple of artists. They sold over $6.6 million. That was donated to the Open Earth Foundation. The one from Edward Snowden for the Freedom of the Press Foundation raised over $5.5 million. And I really don't know if there's someone that has donated $5.5 million to the Freedom of the Press Foundation. So that what is enabling this is, to me, is incredible. Like having creators being associated with social causes, and also like the collector in the other side, they want to support because they want to show they want to show to the world that they care about. They care about these type of causes. And then we have the one from the creator of Rick and Morty, also donated a couple of millions to Los Angeles homeless So now let's talk about what are DAOs. So DAOs are magic internet organizations, or it's a commitment to share value with a community. This is said by Cooper. What are DAOs? Other people say multi-sig, multi-sig, multi-sig. But yeah, from my opinion, DAO is just a way for communities to share value in one way or in another. And it doesn't have to be necessarily financial value. There's so much other type of value. And we humans, we forgot that human capital, social capital were more important than financial capital, because actually financial capital came later. So we need to revive the human and the social capital and enable, communities to create more value that is outside of the financial capital. So we also have like multiple type of DAOs. We have DAOs that are operating systems, which means that essentially they enable you to launch your own DAO. You have investment DAOs that are investing in the space, in different protocols and stuff. Then we have grants DAOs. We have collector DAOs. This is super interesting. Like, there's a lot of people that are coming together to collect stuff and to create kind of like portfolios of different collections. And one of the most crazy things that I found out lately is that these people are building reputation with these DAOs, with these collector DAOs. Why? How they're building reputation? By supporting those social causes and so on. Like for example, Flamingo DAO spend putting a lot into social impact, and also Pleaser DAO as well. Like most of the NFT that Pleaser DAO has, they have a social impact built into it. Then we have protocol DAOs. We have service DAOs as well. Then the protocol DAOs are basically just protocols that have a treasury and are managed by the community and so on. And then we have the service DAO, which are essentially providing services to all the different DAOs, but also to the different projects in the space. We talked about Opolis a few minutes ago as well, which is in the service DAO as well. And then we have social DAOs, which also is super interesting, I find. Why? It's because people are coming together and they're creating, as I said, value that is not necessarily financial value. They're coming together for a specific reason. Maybe they just want to be part of the community. And we humans, we like to be part of things. We like to engage with people. We like to connect with people. These ones I find really interesting, the social DAOs. Actually, here they put DoinGud in the service DAO. DoinGud is actually more like a social and a protocol DAO at the same time. And I'll explain a little bit later how or why we believe that we're there. And also in the media DAO as well, because we're creating kind of like Vice for crypto, and trying to make it more accessible for every human, and that you don't necessarily need to know anything about blockchain for trying to understand what are the concepts behind. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about. Actually, I don't know what time is it. Okay, I have 15 minutes left. So what is social impact? Social impact is the effect on people and communities that happens as a result of an action or inaction, an activity, project, program, or policy. So right now everyone's talking about climate change, but we have forgotten that we humans, we have more problems than only climate change. Actually, the United Nations says that there's over 200 problems that we want to solve as humanity. And right now they're focusing on 17, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, or what people call SDGs. And yeah, essentially, climate change is just one of those problems. We have so many other problems like gender equality and poverty and hunger and so on that we as humans with all of these tools that we're creating, we need to put them into doing good for humanity, and not only, oh, I just want to be rich and that's it. Why? Is because, you know, like at the end of the day, we're becoming a society that is more and more transparent. What that means is that people that are not going to be doing good for the world are going to be canceled. At least that's what I believe. And if you don't cancel them, I would cancel them. So yeah, as I said, like there's so many different goals that we need to achieve as humans and to coordinate. And yeah, and I find super interesting the fact that, you know, blockchain is enabling us to coordinate and to create games that are actually positive, that generate net positive instead of creating zero-sum games. Here are some, well, as you saw, there are so many DAOs, there are so many things. Okay, very little people focusing on social impact, which is so sad. We have art trees, which is really nice, which essentially like you put your dye, and then that dye is kind of like compounding, and that yield that is generated is being used for planting trees, which is super dope. And then we have Giveth. Giveth is kind of like a donation platform. Give Crypto as well. We have Creole and Nori. They're focusing on carbon offsets, tokenizing carbon offsets, and creating NFTs and giving NFTs to those that, you know, contribute to removing carbon from the atmosphere. Then we have the Giving Block. The Giving Block has been doing an amazing job curating over 200 organizations that are again focusing on all these different SDG goals and basically enabling anyone to donate through their platforms, very similar to Giveth. Then we have a couple of other more that are also trying to make an impact in this world. Okay, so now let's talk about NFTs, DAOs, social impact, plus DeFi. And that's where DoinGud comes in. So what is it? What is DoinGud? DoinGud is actually an ecosystem that is empowering creators, collectors, curators, and communities to support one another, become self-owned, self-sustained, and self-governed. And the idea is that this community is going to be owning the protocol, and by doing good for humanity, you're being rewarded. You're going to be rewarded. So how does that happen? Well, creators, they do what they know best, which is create. And their content is going to be tokenized, and that content would have royalties. Those royalties will go to different social impact organizations that the creators care about. They will be selecting those social causes, and at the same time create this symbiotic relationship between the creator and the community, the social impact community, and basically support one another and kind of like, you know, create sustainable loops. This is more or less how it's going to look like. We're focused on mobile first, like in order to enable anyone to, you know, actually interact with the platform. You won't necessarily need to have any blockchain experience, and you might be asking how you don't need to have any blockchain experience for minting a token. Well, the approach that we're taking here is completely different. We are actually publishing and not minting. We're posting. Creators are going to be posting. And what's going to happen is that the NFT is going to be pre-minted or lazy minted in multiple blockchains. And the collector is the one that is going to come in, buy the NFT, and decide where they want to hold their asset. Maybe it's in Polygon, maybe it's in Ethereum, or so on. Why? You might be asking. Well, in the real world, like when you buy an asset, when you buy a collectible, let's say you bought a Pokemon card. You're like, okay, where should I put this? I'm gonna put it in the middle of the book, or I'm gonna put it in a vault, or I'm gonna put it in a museum. If you buy, let's say, any piece of art, you think, okay, I'm gonna put it in that wall, in that one, or maybe in a museum as well. So in the digital world, we think that it's going to be the same. Like collectors are the ones that are going to be deciding where they want their asset to live in. Why? Well, we see that it's already happening. There are some people that are buying assets On Polygon, because the asset maybe is $10 asset, and they don't really care if it's super secure or not. But if you're buying a $50 million asset, maybe you don't want to hold it on XDAI. Maybe you're like, okay, maybe not there, maybe I should hold it on Ethereum. So what we want is to give the collector the opportunity to decide where they want their asset to live in. And at the end of the day, the creator doesn't really know anything about blockchain, and they don't need to know necessarily. So we're enabling the creators to essentially create, and the collectors are going to be the ones taking care of that. So we're planning to do like a multi-chain ecosystem in order for, let's say, anyone to decide where they want their asset. So we have a couple of super cool features. We're going to be enabling people to split royalties and collaborate automatically because, for example, Bill that lives in Denver, in Colorado, if he wants to work with me, that I'm living here in Europe, I need to trust him or he needs to trust me. Why? Because one of us is going to be one uploading the NFT. So that person that is uploading the NFT is the one that is going to be getting the royalties or the money that comes after the sale. So then I will need to wait for Bill to send it over to me. And there's a single point of failure here. So essentially what we want is that whenever you're creating, you're already selecting who are all the different people that are contributing to the creation process. What if you can spin up a mini DAO every time that you're creating with multiple people, but you don't need to know that there's a DAO in the middle? Like, it's just happening. It's just being created there, and that all the different royalties are being, split when the sale happens. The sustainable and eco-friendly, well, as you know, like the idea is that creators, they can support the causes that they care about, and that includes also climate change. And at the same time, with the collectors they buy, they'll be able to buy carbon offsets if they want to, and also receive an NFT that shows that they did support, that they did buy carbon offsets. The community owned and curated is because we're going to have marketplace liquidity mining, which essentially means that every time that there's a transaction happening in the platform, there's going to be multiple people that are going to be rewarded. There's one project that is doing something like that, but we think that it's wrong the way that it's done because there's a lot of wash trading. And actually, just by buying and selling, you're creating this new token that you can dump in the market right away. So there's a lot of things that are missing there, like vesting. Like if you want to align, incentives for the long term and not short-term oriented, you need to have like different type of mechanics that enable the community to grow in a healthy way. The idea is to be a community-owned marketplace or platform or protocol in the future, and that the people that are doing good for humanity are the ones that are actually managing the whole governance of the protocol. This is also another one that is really important to mention, the resilient storage. Most of the NFTs that currently exist are living on IPFS or are living on centralized servers. And you might be asking, okay, yeah, but IPFS is cool. Yeah, sure, it's dope, but there's a problem with IPFS. On IPFS, the node operators, if they're not incentivized, they can drop your data. So that means if an NFT, let's say if the person that minted the NFT stops paying for those node operators, essentially they can just drop the data and you can be left with the token and that's it. Without any media, without anything in the background. Even the $69 million JPEG is in one of those as well. So the idea is to have resilient storage. So what does resilient storage looks like for DoinGud? We want to be redundant when it comes to the data, when we're storing the data. So we're going to be storing the data in multiple chains, like Airway, Filecoin, Swarm, and if it fails in one chain, then the other chain is there, so the NFT actually has the data and being resilient. Then I already talked about the cross-chain compatibility, the social impact and transparency, and the socialize and connect. The socialize and connect is because, as I said, like NFTs, they have a social graph that we necessarily don't really know that is there, but it is there. So as I said, like there are groups on Discord or on Telegram that are based on your collections, like the CryptoPunk groups and so on. So why not enabling in the same platform where you're transacting, where you're buying, why not enabling that social connection? Because at the end of the day, what we want as humans is to connect, not only to buy and sell, like we want to have that interaction with the creators. How do we know that? Well, most of the people that are buying NFTs are connecting with the creators on Telegram, on Twitter, on Discord, and this is fragmenting all this fan base across all these different places. So what we want to do is enable anyone to actually connect with each other within the same place where they're transacting and create more value that is not only financial value by collaborating and engaging with each other. So yeah, I actually don't have much time, but yeah, one of the important things that I have to mention is the social costs that are actually being vetted. We're doing KYC, know your customer, what in the financial people call, and know your business, which essentially means that we're verifying that they're an NGO, 501c3, or a non-profit. So like that, we're creating a registry that anyone can plug in. So not only the DoinGud platform, but any DAO, any DeFi protocol can stream money directly to all of these different social causes, and even we can create ETFs for social causes. So we can select what are the top 100 social causes that are fighting gender inequality, and just have an ETF for that, you know? And then what we can do is that essentially that the different DeFi and DAOs that are not supporting good for humanity, they're actually, most probably, people are not gonna use them. And we're seeing the evolution of different brands. We were talking a few minutes ago about Patagonia, Tom's. Those are like the brands that are growing the most right now because they have that social impact element built into it. However, they're doing it in a very opaque way. So that's where blockchain comes in, where we can, create more transparent ways of, showing to people where is it that the money is going. Yeah, so what's going to happen is that when you when you're creating your profile, you'll be selecting, I care about non-poverty, I care about responsible consumption and production, and you're selecting all of that, and then you'll see like all the different social impact organizations that are focusing on those SDG goals, and yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone.